What's up, YouTubers and plant lovers? It's Justin coming to you from the Big Blue Nation once again, and today I was going to show you how to plant a Japanese maple. More specifically, how to kind of plant it and take care of it, even if you plan on moving in the next couple of months. Now, I just bought this plant a couple of days ago. As I was saying, it is a Acer palmatum. They get that name from the type of leaves they have. They kind of look like a human hand, almost like 5 digits on it. It's a really beautiful ornamental tree. A lot of people have them. You'll see them all over the place in neighborhoods. So I bought one for me. I think I got it at Home Depot for like $26. It's a great little specimen. And as I was saying, I plan on moving in the next several months. So I want to try and see if I can hack this and see if there isn't any kind of way that I could maybe dig it up and transport it a little easier. I got to thinking, and with trees, the biggest problem with transplanting or just redigging is their taproot. Now this thing is going to go straight down. That's what's going to anchor the tree. It's going to go down as far as it can, and that's going to give it a nice steady base so it won't be swaying and moving all over the place. You could really just use anything, kind of plastic or terracotta. I really wouldn't use like marble or anything heavy like that, because it probably will end up breaking. Plastic is really durable, so I don't really have to worry about this kind of breaking or cracking or anything, and if it does, I'm only out like $4. So I chose bright orange just so it'd be easier to see. And what I really want to do is put this at the bottom in the hole, put soil on top of it, and then kind of set the plant on top of that. And hopefully the taproot will, when it comes down, it will still be able to anchor the plant, but it won't go, past this. Now I do realize there are holes in this, but that is by design, because if you have something solid, water's not going to be able to drain through that, and you will end up drowning your plant. If the water's not able to drain successfully away from the plant, then, like I said, it will drown. The roots do need air, and if they're sitting in saturated water all day, it's going to kill your plant. So I've done this before, but I've never used one of these. I think it's called an upsidaisy, and they're marketed to kind of be soil savers. You set them down in your pot, and you don't have to put as much soil down below here. It'll actually kind of raise the level a little bit and give you a little bit less room to kind of condense and work with that. So what I'm going to do is dig this up and set this down in there and go from there. I'll walk you through it. Now you're going to want to use a pretty sharp spade like I have. I've got a lot of roots in my ground, and you want to kind of be able to break through that. You don't want a whole lot in the way of competition with other plants and other roots, because that will drain precious nutrients and water away from your plants. I mean, as you can see, I've got pretty large roots in here, so the sharper the spade, the better. Now you want to dig the hole about twice as wide as your pot and twice as deep too, to give it a good start. So the easiest way to do that is to kind of jam your shovel down in there and break up a bunch of this dirt, loosen it up, and then kind of just scrape that out. Now that I've got the hole at about the depth that I want it, I've just kind of gone in by hand and removed any of the larger rocks or clumps of soil that I don't want in there. And I'll go ahead and place my little saucer down in there. Make sure it fits in there nice and comfortably, and it's about as deep as I want it to be. Now that I've got the saucer where I want it, I'm just going to go ahead and take some of this loose soil and just kind of cover it up, maybe about an inch and a half, just so that the soil is kind of there for the roots and it's not all just sitting on plastic. And any kind of roots that you see, I would just go ahead and kind of remove either with scissors or by your hand, and that'll remove any of the other competition for the tree. And just for a little bit of added nutrition, I've got some earthworm castings, just some stuff from my local garden shop that will just kind of benefit the tree, help it off to a good start. Just kind of spread it out where the roots are going to sit. Next, I will gently take my hand and start squeezing the root ball to kind of loosen up the soil, thereby being able to get the tree out a little bit easier. Now, as you can tell, my tree kind of leans to one way, so I'll have to take that into consideration when I'm planting it to see how I want it to look. Now, you can keep the soil down in there. It's not going to bother it any. Any of this other nutrition will just be added nutrition for your tree. You can loosen up the root ball. You don't have to. That's up to you. Some people say it helps the roots out. But as you can tell, my soil was pretty loose, so I don't think it mattered much. And now I will just continue to add in the native soil by hand, breaking it all up, and occasionally kind of tamping it down to make sure that I kind of rid the soil of any kind of air bubbles. Now, if you don't have enough soil to put back in there, you can use added kind of just store-bought soil, or take your giant root ball like I'm doing and loosen it up. Now, in a perfect world, I wouldn't have this tree so close to my walkway right here. But like I said, I'm going to be moving in a while, so this is kind of a temporary little fix for it. Somewhere that I feel comfortable that it's going to get adequate light and water and be kind of out of the wind a little bit. But realistically, as I was saying, you don't want it so close to your house. I mean, these trees are smaller in nature, but they do spread out and they will kind of have a nice crown on them. So if you have it in an area that's up against your house, it will scratch against it and maybe even damage some of your roof or your windows. So make sure that there is adequate space between other plants, other structures like a house or a garage or a carport, and just kind of use your head. I mean, these are trees, they're going to spread out some, and they won't get too large, but they will actually grow some. And all I wanted to do was make sure I put a little barrier in between the soil and the tree, so that when it sends its taproot down and I have to go and dig it up in a couple of months, I won't have to dig forever to try and separate the taproot. And you want to do that safely, because if you clip it too soon, you will kill your tree. So this way, all I gotta do is just kind of dig out around the sides where the smaller roots are and just lift it out. I've got a bag of mulch, and all I'm gonna do is add a layer. You do not want to clump it or build it up or mound it up. You want to keep it kind of flat, because if you do mound it up pretty high, you are inviting bugs in, any other kind of mess. So I will just lightly apply some mulch, maybe about an inch and a half deep. And I know some of my other gardening friends out there don't like to add soil. They think it's just a waste. Excuse me, not soil, but mulch. I love using mulch. It'll help in the way of any weeds or any other kind of plant you don't want growing up right there. It'll keep your plant kind of insulated in the winter time or the colder months, and over time it will break down and add added nutrition to your plant or plants. Now, the best mulch to use is like a cypress mulch, because that will kind of keep bugs away. But I just used Home Depot's regular brown mulch, because it's never steered me wrong. And as I was saying, you don't want to mound it. You just want to have an area of about an inch, inch and a half deep. And all I have left to do is just water it. The root ball was a little wet, so I don't have to give it a ton of water. But anytime you do plant a new plant, you do want to add a little bit of water to kind of help out with the roots. Plant is going to be stressed from moving, so a little more water would really hurt the plant. Now, the only thing I really have left to do is kind of add some fertilizer to this guy. I gave him some worm casters, but it really wasn't a whole lot. Probably tomorrow or the next day, I'll just give it a little bit of a maple fertilizer. Any kind of general all-purpose fertilizer, Miracle Grow, Fox Farm, anything like that will probably do pretty well. Though I would kind of dilute it by half, especially on a young, newer tree, the one that's just been transplanted, because you really don't want to run the risk of killing your ornamental Japanese maple. These guys really are a beautiful plant, and I hope I've showed you a little bit of a hack to kind of help when you're going to be moving in the next, well, I'd say near future. I mean, really, that's all you want to have to do. That's the last thing you want to have to do after you've moved all day and packed, is to go out and wrestle around with plants in your yard, just to kind of bring them along with you. Well guys, I hope that kind of shows you a little bit of something. If you do have any other questions or concerns, feel free to leave me a comment, and make sure you hit the subscribe button or the bell next to it. That way you'll know anytime I've uploaded a new video. You guys take care, and don't forget guys, always plant prudently. Thank you, YouTube.